Hi, my name is Lali Dorosinsky. Course number is SEDN 658-22. This is a video presentation on intervention program based on informal reading inventory. Professor Julie O'Connor, Torrey College, fall 2016. My student's name is Mitchell. He is a 6-year-old first grade student. Mitchell was born in Brooklyn, New York. In addition to English, which is his first language, Mitchell speaks and understands Russian and Hebrew. Mitchell is a diligent student, active participant in the class, social with his classmates, obedient and respectful towards rules, hard worker, and sensitive to his accomplishments below expectation. His math skills clearly dominate his language skills. In math, Mitchell is well above average. However, in LA, his skills are a little below average when compared to his classmates. Because Mitchell is involved in other after-school activities, his exposure to reading books, choosing books of his interest, discussing books with family members is very limited. When I administered Mitchell's informal reading inventory, I presented Mitchell with a list of words from various reading levels. Mitchell got 90% on Premier A and first B levels of WRI and reached frustration level almost at the beginning of column 3 to F. For those reasons, we started oral passage on level Premier A, which Mitchell fell under instruction buffer level. The next oral passage that Mitchell read was level 2-1C, which put him at frustration level of comprehension. The silent reading passage was at the Premier A and first B level. On both passages, he fell under buffer level, a level between instruction and frustration. I found that silent reading is very hard for Mitchell. I don't think he comprehends much when reading silently. Here he reached a frustration point of his reading comprehension. After reaching frustration level of a passage 2-1C, I asked Mitchell if he would like me to read to him a passage and then try to answer some questions. The score was very similar to the score when I had to silently read the passage. Mitchell's listening comprehension was not detailed. I believe that understanding of text was an issue. It seemed that Mitchell comprehends text similarly whether he reads or is read to. Overall, Mitchell was involved in the task and felt like he is doing me a favor by helping me out. He felt relaxed, yet was getting worried when had to use a few attempts to get the word pronounced correctly. I was complimenting him on his skills and made him feel appreciated for his effort. It seemed that Mitchell needs more practice with reading on a regular basis because he sometimes remembers his sight words and sometimes uses a few attempts before read them correctly. Mitchell's silent reading skills need improvement. It is hard for him to read silently. Mitchell's reading comprehension while listening needs attention, as it seemed that he does not pay special attention to little details. Since Mitchell is 6-year-old, first grade, there are no specific standardized testing that determine his level of achievement in literacy. However, administering IRI and assessing young students' readiness in an early age will influence their academic success in future years. By administering IRI and working with above mentioned results, there are a number of assessment strategies will be used to help Mitchell with effective instruction that will help his development in literacy. Mitchell's listening skills had poor results because it seemed that he didn't comprehend the story and could not focus. It also seems that the story was missing pictures and there was no discussion about the story based on the title or a picture prior to me reading reading it to Mitchell. My strategy for Mitchell's listening skills will be as follows. First, as Mitchell is 6 years old child, it is important for him to have pictures in the book or a story that he reads. Before reading a story, we carefully analyze the cover and picture in the book. We also discuss the title of the book or a story. I may ask Mitchell to come up with a story just by looking at the picture. Then we divide a story into a few parts. Each part consists of 3 to 4 sentences. After reading each part, I ask Mitchell to retell me what he just read, compare it to the picture, and try to find detail on the picture. After finishing reading the whole story, he discusses it by asking and answering questions. Questions that I may ask him are: could you please retell the story in sequence? Do you think the story is based on fantasy or reality? Sometimes I ask him to act out a story, or we talk about what could be different ending of the story. After finishing reading the whole story, we talk about what he thought was the main part. We discuss the most important events and analyze the main idea of the story. Only then I ask him questions about the passage. I have been working with Mitchell on a weekly basis in the last month and a half, and can see the difference not only in his comprehension but also in his willingness, curiosity, and desire to read and discuss a new story. He follows the pattern of our plan with pleasure. He independently now looks at the cover of or a picture of the book or story and discuss it without even me asking him. Then we move to the title and think what it could be about. Then he finds a comfortable position and listens to the story with pleasure, which helps him to stay focused and involved. By breaking a story into a few parts, also helps him also helps us to keep Mitchell to stay focused, as he has a chance to digest each little part of a story before moving on to the next one. After Mitchell is done listening, we ask each other questions. My most important question, which I have for the last, is what he thought was the most important part of the story, what the author wanted to tell us. After we are done with the discussion, I ask Mitchell 5 questions and to assess his comprehension. Mitchell normally gets 4 out of 5 or 5 out of 5 questions right. After I took a closer look at Mitchell's word recognition inventory and oral reading, I see that he only reached a frustration point at 3-2F level. Many words that he could not read in all previous columns consisted of sounds that a few letters make in combination or wrong pronunciation of syllables. I would start Mitchell's assessment with phonological and phonemic awareness tasks. According to Apts and Erickson book, page 146, phonological awareness is an awareness of 3 aspects of spoken language: words, syllables within words, and sounds or phonemes within syllables and words. Phonemic awareness is an understanding that words are made up of individual sounds. My first strategy for Mitchell's reading development will be phonemic awareness exercise and sound recognition in a printed form. During our sessions, I introduced Mitchell to phonemic matching, where he finds sounds that are made up using specific letters and identifies words that consist of those sounds. We also do phonological segmentation by giving him a word and asking to identify sounds and how many sounds are in that word. I introduced him to phonemic blending by asking to put sounds together to make a word. We also practice phoneme manipulation by manipulating one sound for another to make a different word, or delete one letter to make a new word. By doing this phonemic awareness exercise, Mitchell will be more familiar with sounds in a given word and with the fact that words consist of combined sounds. Mitchell and I also work on his phonological awareness by reading aloud text that use specific language features such as phoneme substitution, phoneme segmentation, rhyming. Since practice makes it perfect by exposing my learner to more reading, he will learn to identify and make distinction among sounds. I agree that a few suggestions in chapter 8 of Optis and Erickson that some suggested literature is very beneficial for a child's phonological awareness. I read with Mitchell rhyming stories, poems, passages with repetitive text, which we also use to exercise finding letters and sounds. A big part of my assessment is to involve parents of my learner to read with him and complete specific exercise. Some parents need directions in order to help their children with work. Therefore, along with an assigned reading, I am also providing a brief explanation of how to complete the exercise. Um, Also, a part of my assessment strategy will be observation and portfolio assessment of listening, oral reading, comprehension, and word recognition. Portfolio assessment is a collection of data throughout time that can be used as some form of evaluation. Portfolio will provide me with an ongoing record of Mitchell's reading and writing progress and will give me an idea what skills Mitchell already has and still needs to work on. This assessment will help me continuously modify instructions based on results evaluated from the portfolio. I can also discuss results and progress with Mitchell by pointing out on how much he has achieved comparing to the past and the areas that we still need to work on to achieve more progress. Even though first grade students don't have any sort of standardized assessment, it is important to know where students stand in comparison to students of his/her age category. One of the examples for the first grade level summative assessment is NWEA that is given to students in many schools starting from kindergarten. Students are given this test 2 to 3 times a year. The summative assessment determines the student's achievement in comparison to other students. It has a clear data of students' achievement at the moment of assessment. I will definitely need to know where Mitchell stands in comparison to other students in the class before and after my intervention program. I also would like to know how fast he is progressing in comparison to his classmates. By using formative assessment, I will observe Mitchell's strengths and needs, determine strategies to work on his needs, and help him succeed. I will talk to him about his progress and point out that his effort is the main reason for his progress. Discuss with him results, periodically evaluate with him the strengths, needs, results, and progress based on the data collected in the portfolio. In my intervention program, I will use strategies of formative assessment such as observation and filing, portfolio, discussion, check marks for understanding and quizzes, extensive feedback, and self-evaluation. Thank you.